Alright, it is time. My first Wi-Fi Draft League is here, and I'm so excited to play it out with some other tough coaches. Plus, we get to start it off with a banger of a league, the BBR D-LEAUGE. If you don't know what the BBR is, it stands for Rejects Battle Royale, and it's a long-standing Wi-Fi Draft League that recently had a brand new season with Generation 9 of Pokemon. Now, what the D-LEAGE is essentially something that exists where up-and-coming players and coaches can prove themselves and earn a spot in the main division of the BBR. It could be someone that's new to Wi-Fi like ourselves, or someone that's coming back after hiatus. But before we start playing, we of course have to talk about the team, so here's my BBR D-LEAGE draft analysis. Okay, so before we talk about the team, here are some quick rules we had regarding the draft. We were 16 coaches total, split up into two pools, one representing Scarlet and one representing Violet. We had the second pick overall in Scarlet, which I was very happy about. And it's going to be a Wi-Fi league with 20-minute chess timer with a 60-minute total timer, yeah. Now, as I just said, we had the second pick overall in Scarlet. So there was really only one mon I was super hyper focused on, but there were a couple of other mons I could have ended up with. But our main pick did not get taken, and we ended up with Roaring Moon for our first pick. And I'm so excited about this. This Pokemon is a monster. Just take a look at these stats. So Roaring Moon is normally a dark dragon typing, and I know what you're thinking, but those are dark flying icons. That's because Roaring Moon is going to be our Terra Captain. We have dark for stab and flying for non-stab. So that's how terrestrializing worked in this league. Was we have to announce one stab terror and one non-stab terror. So we went dark and flying. But yeah, Roaring Moon, absolutely amazing. 105 HP is really good. 139 attack, amazing breaker. 119 speed, kind of some of the standout stuff. Even the 101 Spadef is not that bad because a lot of fairy types are typically especially offensive, especially when some stuff like Morwal and whatnot are not in the game. It just means we have a better chance of tanking a potential Moonblast, especially if it's Terra and we lose at least half of our Pharaoh weakness that we already have. Other than that, we are not really weak to like Sucker Punch. We're not really weak to Shadow Sneak. We're weak to Mach Punch and we're weak to Ice Shot. But realistically, there's only one mon that's gonna carry like Ice Shot. I think maybe two, depending if it got drafted or not. I can't remember if it did. So we're not the most weak to priority. I'm very happy about that. And I think Roaring Moon is going to be amazing as a first pickup. It's kind of versatile in my opinion. I think it's a lot more versatile than people want to give it credit for. I think the ability is going to be amazing to use because you can either use a booster energy to get like a speed boost or an attack boost depending on how you build it. I think you can, you can even get a Spadef boost if you really want to. It has to be a little bit weird, but you can. And Roaring Moon is going to pair up with the rest of our team very, very well. Speaking of pairing up with Roaring Moon, what you typically want is a really good fairy killer, something that will make any fairy type scream, and that is going to be Iron Moth. So we pick up Iron Moth as our second pick, and I'm so happy about that because that means we can U-turn with Roaring Moon, go into Iron Moth. Iron Moth will scare out any fairy type, and we can do massive damage to whatever wants to come in. I mean, just look at this 140 special attack with 110 speed is nothing to scoff at. 110 Spadef is actually also really good because we just talked about a lot of fairy types, especially offensive, meaning we can probably switch into them a lot of the time. Now, a lot of fairy types does also get access to psychic type moves, which would be a little bit annoying, but we can tank most things that's not like a Psy Shock from Gardevoir, for instance. Please don't ever do that to me. But even then, Iron Moth can just outpace a lot of the fairy types and often kill them. This has Quirk Drive compared to Roaring Moon's Photosynthesis, and while Photosynthesis would be amazing with our team, you'll see later on, Quirk Drive is not that bad, plus Iron Moth is a fire type, so it will synergize with our team very well. You can maybe already kind of see which direction our team is going to take. We are very happy about Iron Moth, can set up with Fire Dance, can set up with Agility, also gets access to U-turn, so we already have a little bit of a pivoting core there. I'm very happy about that. And I think Iron Moth is just really fun to use. I used it in the Smoke and Draft Tour, and I had a lot of fun with it, so I hope it can kind of replicate a little bit of that in the games. Now, the next bond I picked up was like 10% because of memes and fun, and 90% just because I think it's an amazing mon, and that is going to be Slitherwing. So Slitherwing is a really, really good mon to pair with what we already have. While it may not be as fast, it's still as hard-hitting with 135 attack. It has a really good defensive typing for some scenarios, not necessarily to take on fairy types because it's still weak to fairy, but it's just generally really good for like fighting types for Roaring Moon. It can take on some dragon types, providing they're not carrying like a fire move or anything. And even then, we have access to First Impression for like what's it called, priority in case something is outspeeding us. We have really good special bulk, so you can run like a Spadev bulky with the Will-O-Wisp. That's a pretty decent set as well. And yeah, I'm really happy about Slithering. Really good choice band user, really good choice scarf user, as I just mentioned. Can run Will-O-Wisp, it gets Stun Spore, it can run U-Turn as well, so you keep on that pivoting momentum core. Very happy about Slithering, and also hashtag Moth Core. Get it out there, people. Iron Moth, Slitherwing, that's part of the Moth Core. You can go more Moths if you want to, but these are the two I picked up, and I'm very happy about that. Now, for our fourth pick was actually the first snipe. I originally wanted Grimmsnarl, but Grimmsnarl got picked up very early, which I definitely understand, because Grimmsnarl is probably pretty amazing in this format. I haven't tried it yet, but I imagine it's really good, getting access to priority parting shot, being able to set up screens. Of course, still has like nasty plot setups, bulk up setup, stuff like that. So I think Grimmsnarl is really amazing. That's why I wanted it, because I wanted it for screen parting shot stuff. But we ended up picking up a mon that actually maybe work almost even better than Grimmsnarl on this team, and that's going to be Screamtail. So that is our fourth mon that works very well under a certain weather condition. You can probably guess what the team is heading towards now. Yeah, Screamtail, amazing stats. Like, look at that HP, that defense, that special defense, and even the speed. Like, look at that. That is, oh, it's so fat. It's so annoying to deal with. It's access to, I think, Thunder Wave, Encore, Stealth Rock in some scenarios, Wish. So you can pass off some really fat wishes with 115 base HP. Not the best offensive mon, but you can actually run like a Calm Mind set pretty often, just because it's so naturally bulky that it can just automatically set up like +1, +2, and then it will start doing damage. We probably will play it as a support mon a lot of the time, just because we have really good breaking power. But every now and then you could bring it as just this like sweeper, and you just win the game off Screamtail. And again, it works in Sun, which our next mon is going to be the Sun mon, Torkoal. I picked up Torkoal. I wanted to build a Sun team. I think Sun looks so much fun in Generation 9. I hated Sun in Generation 8 and below. I didn't think it was good. I think it was maybe the worst. Maybe besides Hail. Hail might have been even worse than this. But I think Sun was just not bad. It was just not good, I mean. But now I think it's amazing. Just having access to photosynthesis, you can boost any stat by 1.3 or 1.5 if it's speed in the Sun. Still gets access to boost energy on all those mons, of course, so you can just do that if you don't want to run the Sun. Now, Torkoal, of course, is a little bit expensive because of that, but I still think you get a good mon out of this. Like, 70 HP is not the best, but 140 defense is pretty good. 70 special defense is, like, fine. I think the 85 special attack is maybe the biggest thing where Torkoal should have been better. Like, take some of the stat out of the attack and give it to special attack, and Torkoal becomes a lot better. But even then, 85 special attack, lava plumes in the Sun is gonna hurt. It still gets access to white smoke and shell armor for other sets if you don't want to bring the Sun. And the rest of our team still functions very well without the Sun. So I don't feel like I'm pushed into having to run Torkoal every week to get the most out of my team. I can still use the rest of the ones without Sun. No problem at all. Now, Torkoal also presents our first hazard removal and our first like primary hazard set. Screamtail does get Stealth Rocks, but it often want to run other moves than Stealth Rock, where Torkoal can pretty much run Stealth Rock a lot of the time. It's really good, like just generic bulky mon. Here, as I mentioned, here to set up the Sun, here to potentially do a little bit of damage, maybe burn some Pokemon. I think it gets access to Will-O-Wisp. Most fire types do that. So I would assume it does. And yeah, I couldn't do this team and not draft Sun, you know. I feel like it just makes sense. Now, next up on our team, I wanted to start picking up some bulk. I think we picked up a really good offensive core. We have a little bit of bulk in like Slitherwing and Screamtail are pretty good bulky. Torkoal is like a middle ground kinda. It's not super bulky, it's not super offensive either. So I wanted something that can guarantee get rocks up if I need to. It's a solid mon against electric types, and that's gonna be Mossdale. We picked up Mossdale. The reason why we did it here is because I originally wanted Gastrodon as my water type, which would then also cover my ground type for this team. But Gastrodon got sniped for me, so I had to rework the team a lot. And I ended up going with Mossdale for my ground type. It's very solid, very all reliable, as you can call it. I've drafted Mossdales a million times, and I think it's fine every time. It's never like super amazing. It's not going to win you a whole lot of games. It can win a game. It can go away with a game in some scenarios, but not necessarily always. Has 100, as you can see, has a 125 attack with 100 defense. Some would say, and I think I might agree with it, if those were swapped, Mossdale would be amazing because it would be so good physically defensive. But access to stamina, getting that defense +1 if you get hit by pretty much any move. So you're really good at walling physical attackers that don't crit you. I'm looking at you, Shifu. And even then, 100 HP with 85 special defense is nothing to scoff at. You can be a pretty good SPDF wall, especially if you slap like an assault vest on this thing. As I mentioned, it has 125 attacks, so it's still gonna do damage. Access to Earthquake, Body Press, Heavy Slam, Stone Edge, all those stuff. And of course, the main reason why we kind of drafted it is because it has access to Stealth Rock, and Stealth Rock is just really, really good to have. Next up is probably the only mon that kind of survived our rework of the team after the snipe of Gastrodon, and that is going to be Tinkaton. So I picked up Tinkaton because I wanted, of course, a steel type. I originally planned this to go with Grimmsnarl because I wanted a secondary fairy type. Because Grimmsnarl is like a really good dark type and a semi-decent fairy type, but it's not like amazing, I feel like. So I wanted the other fairy type that also didn't have to be a fairy type every time, so they can kind of share the role a little bit. So I end up still going with Tinkaton because it still fits the team very well. And Tinkaton actually has some interesting stuff. Like, it's pretty fast for some reason. It has 94 speed with only 75 attack, which is very sad. We should hit harder. 77 defense is fine. 85 HP is okay. The 70 as special attack, that could definitely make that way lower and give it more attack, and I think this mon is really good. But it gives us a good, decent SPDF wall now with 105 special defense, which we did like a little bit. We have Torkoal and Mossdale for really good physical defense. We had Slitherwing that does have decent SPDF, same with Screentail. But getting another mon that can kind of take on some other, like it can take on some fairy types where the other two struggle a little bit more in some scenarios. So I'm very happy about picking up Tinkaton. Still also has access to Stealth Rock, so there's another Stealth Rock user. Access to Thunder Wave. Our, I think, only knockoff user on the entire team, so that is great value. That is one of the reasons why I actually think Tinkaton is decent this generation, just because it has knockoff. And, you know, we still have access to Gigaton Hammer. Maybe we run like a choice band to Gigaton Hammer for the one time. I don't know. It sounds fun. We'll see. Now, next up we have 100% the biggest downgrade on our team compared to what I wanted. So I wanted to pick up Serena for our grass type. I think Serena on the Sun works pretty well. Gets access to, of course, Queen and Majesty for the negate of any priority moves, but even the other ability, Leaf Guard, in Sun is actually decent because it means we can't get like Thunder Wave, we can't get Poison, stuff like that. There's not as many toxic mons, but in some scenarios, if there were, it would be nice to be able to swap in Serena. If the Sun is up, we know we won't get statused. So I ended up going with Bramble instead because I had to rework it. I couldn't figure out the points to still get Serena. When with Bramble I can do a little bit of the same, just way worse. So Bramble unfortunately is not that bulky. I really wish it was. Like, swap the special attack and the HP, and I think this mon is kind of fine. Because it doesn't really need the special attack. It can use it, right? It can use it because it gets access to like Giga Drain. I think Shadow Ball maybe. I don't even know that actually. But yeah, 115 attack is pretty decent, 90 speed is pretty decent, especially because this is also our second hazard remover with Rapid Spin. So it's another Rapid Spinner. We now have 2 Rapid Spinners on our team. And I just noticed something. So if D-Ray or CB Marcus are watching this, there was actually a mistake on the Tinkaton slide where Tinkaton was replaced with Bombardier. And I'm now noticing that Bombardier is also on the following slides. That's kind of funny. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But yeah, Bramble it's a decent mon. Like, Wind Rider gives you an immunity to like Hurricane and other wind moves. Like, it's not flying moves, it's wind moves. If it was flying moves as a general, this thing would be amazing. It would be really good for a lot of flying types. But it's wind moves, so you have to be very specific. Like Air Slash, Hurricane, Heat Wave is a wind move, stuff like that. Like, it's anything that has sort of wind to its theme. This has an immunity to. But yeah, access to Rapid Spin, access to Spikes, which is another big thing why we picked this up over like other grass types. It's because we get access to Spikes. So it's now a Spiker for our team. And overall, Bramble fine. Not amazing, but fine. Next up, I picked up Ursaring. It was kind of a last-minute decision to pick up Ursaring as our normal type. I originally wanted the Dunsparce, couldn't get it because of the points anymore. Then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go regular Dunsparce because Dunsparce is like decent now. It gets Eviolite, gets access to Stealth Rock and Roost and whatnot. But I actually didn't need another Stealth Rock user. I felt like I had plenty. I think Mossdale, Tinkaton, and Torkoal could all 3 carry that burden pretty. So I didn't need that. I ended up picking up Ursaring because look at these stats. Right, 90 HP, 75 defense, 75 special defense, 130 attack. This thing can run an Eviolite now because of Ursaluna. Ursaluna is counted for in Scarlet and Violet, so this does have Eviolite with it. Meaning this all of a sudden becomes a very bulky, hard hitter. Like incredibly, I think this is our third highest or second highest attack stat on the entire team. Well, actually no, Iron Moth has highest. It's the fourth highest, I think. Like overall attack stat on the team on a mod I'm mostly looking at defensively. I'm very happy about that. Also, it's a status absorber. If you try and Will-O-Wisp my Roaring Moon and I switch into this, you're just giving me guts. Maybe you're giving me quick feet, though it would still nerf my attack at that point and I will cry a little bit. Even Unnerve has some applications here and there, so I'm very happy about the Ursaring pickup. And I think it's going to be a very interesting normal type to use. I'm kind of thinking this might be a little bit of an undervalued mon already, and we'll see how it performs. I think it's really good in some scenarios and kind of bad in other scenarios. Now, if you're looking at our team right now, you would notice there is 2 typings specifically that are missing that are very, very vital. Some would say there's like one more typing outside of those 2, but we kind of make up for that in our Roaring Moon, so you'll see here in a bit. And those 2 typings are water and electric. There's only one water electric type in this entire format, and that is Rotom Wash. Diantern is not in the game, I believe, so Rotom Wash is the only one. Don't fact check me, okay? Don't fact check me. Yeah. Rotom Wash, really, really good mon, still solid, still pretty much the same as it was last gen. It just does not have access to Defog, which is pretty huge, and Pain Slip, which is pretty annoying. That means we can't really heal. But still does the same, can fire up Thunder Waves, can fire up Will-O-Wisps, can Nasty Plot set up, can just be bulky annoying, can Volt Switch around. There's access to Trick, which means we can trick different stuff onto opponents. And it's just a really solid mon overall. And the reason why it's last is because by the time we reached Mossdale, I think everybody had already picked up a main water type, like not some secondary water type, but like a main water type, and I was pretty confident I could wait on Rotom and get my other stuff first. So that's why we ended up picking up Rotom Wash. So yeah, that's our full team. You can see it here. You can see it as we were before. Very happy about this team. I think this is one of the best teams I picked up in a long, long time. There's a clear goal with what I want to do, and typically that helps me when I play. And even then, outside of that goal, the team is still very flexible. There's a bunch of new mods that I'm very excited to try. So, as always, if you like the video, make sure to leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below with thought of the team, and subscribe to the channel for future videos. I will now head out, so peace, YouTube.